Hey everybody, it's Twan and I'm going live on Facebook. I'm gonna add Lonell right quick. Lonell is a good friend of mine, my soul brother, and we've decided to record our conversations every Wednesday night. So every time we talk, this man is so inspiring. He's like, "You're so inspiring," and we're like, "Well, we wish we could record this," and I was like, "We can through Facebook Live." Let's see. Hey Jessica, you did a bomb Facebook Live. Okay, Lonell wants to be in your video. Jessica does Wow Me Wednesdays every Wednesday. It's amazing. Okay, here. It looks like it's working now. It's just kind of blinking. I got you on a minute ago, so that worked. Anyway, there you is. What's up?
We've got to learn this. No, but I think something was wrong with Facebook. I don't know if Zuckerberg's visit to Capitol Hill today
testimony
was screwing up with that. But you were upside down on mine. I was upside down on yours.
You were upside down.
That's crazy.
I know, right? What's up?
What's up?
Ooh, we did it.
You look.
Anyway, I'm in San Diego. I'm so glad we could do this.
Oh my! Are you in the airport?
Yeah, I'm in the airport right now.
Oh, cool. So
I didn't have time to find a lounge or anything. I'm just here ghetto right here. Like there's nobody on this side of the terminal. But everything works out eventually because you know what happened was I literally am supposed to be boarding right now. Remember I told you I was like I'm gonna rush to the airport and dinner came out late. We're in just a tiny bit of traffic and just trying to figure it. I don't know. Anyway, and you were just like go with the flow. It's all good and zoomed right through airport security and I saw that the flight was delayed 40 minutes. So I got some time on my hands now. Don't you love how that just works out?
It always just works itself out, doesn't it? Wow. So what were you doing in San Diego?
Just kicking it, just hanging out with some friends. You know, sometimes you just need a little R&R. So I came here, went to the pool, was hanging out, saw some friends. Hello from Perth, Australia.
Hey, Joan. Hey, Carl. I see you guys. Oh, my God. Carl and I were just talking earlier about my experience earlier today. I'm not going to put your business out there, Carl.
I want to hear. Wait.
Hey,
wait,
Jen.
you have to hold up on that. Well, that's in segment
Yeah, that's the next segment, right. But he knows about it. He was talking to me about it earlier.
I want to hear because I've been wanting to do it, but I'd be like, it's just painful thinking about it. But anyways, like I was saying, I was just here hanging out. It was actually a very spiritual time. I delved into 2 books. I can't read just one book at once. Maybe I'm ADD. Do you have that problem?
Not at all.
I feel like sometimes
I can barely read one. It's so funny. I would show you, like right now, my phone is sitting on top of a stack of my books that I have to read. I guess I could show you so you can see see that whole stack of books there. It's like 2 stacks.
Oh, dang.
Those are all of the books that I've been sent or that I purchased that are on my reading list, and I can only do them one at a time. I can't do that 2 and 3 books at a time. I did that in school.
Wait, so are we just old that we're reading books? I love that we're still reading books.
Oh yeah, I mean I have stuff like on my Kindle. I do use the Kindle occasionally because I like it for the notes and stuff. But I really just prefer the feel of a book. Yeah, maybe I'm just old.
Yeah, you know, I just love the smell of books and I love touching them and I'm more tactile and I love highlighting them. So I just love having books. But I brought 2 with me and my little gratitude journal. So I was like looking all that around.
So what are you reading?
But the 2 books that
What are you reading?
So there's 2. I'm sort of like rereading one, Jen Sincero with You're a Badass.
Oh my God.
Awesome. Yes. I think I saw you. Okay, so you actually inspired me to reread it because I read it like maybe a year ago, and then just recently I've just been feeling a little stuck, and that seems like a theme I'd love to chat about because a lot of my friends are talking about being stuck, and then I saw it on your Instagram the other day, and I'm like, you know, let me dig that off of my my bookshelf, and so I dug it out, and I was just like, ooh, I want to read that, and then I kind of wanted to read Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. Mm-hmm. Hey, Carl. So yeah, so I was just like, well, I'm just gonna read both. Who says I'm an adult? I just ate ice cream before my dinner. But I just loved it so much. And the funny thing is, isn't it funny how when you start paying attention to stuff in life, like that stuff appears in your life? So yesterday I was at the pool. I was staying at the Westin here, beautiful view, and I was like, you know, I feel like being outdoors after my nap. So I went down to the pool, and then I was just kind of reading, you know, just kind of flipping through the book. And then today there's this awesome podcast that I listened to. I think I sent it to you. I forget the title. The title I always never can remember. It's like You Should Quit Your Day Job.
Yeah,
or
something like that. From the same author.
Anyway, yeah. No, it wasn't from.
No?
She was interviewing this woman.
No, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying,
So
but yeah,
the
it's her
woman-
podcast, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put the link up of the anyway of the podcast. But the podcast I just happened to click on. She was interviewing Jen Sincero from the author from this book, You Are a Badass, right? And it was so good, and it was just nice to hear that she had so much trouble trying to get the book published. And at one point, she almost like tried. She was like, "I'm just gonna self-publish this," and she went through so many challenges. So many people were talking about like this won't sell. They talked about the imposter syndrome, which I chatted with my friend Jessica, who I just spoke about a moment ago, and just all these like things that keep reoccurring in these conversations. And so it's funny that you and I are reading it. I just feel like divine timing.
It is such an amazing book, and I'm with you. I see Joan was saying that she loves reading books, and Carl was talking about how he likes feeling the pages. I am the exact same way. I love this book. Like I've heard about it. You know, it was a phenomenon. It sold like 1 million copies. You see, I have the paperback, so I'm really late to the party if I got the paperback. But when I finally, but sometimes you have to wait until your spirit is drawn to something. If I would have read this when it would have came out, I probably would have been like, okay, girl, that's cute for you, but whatever. But when my spirit was ready to read it, I was drawn to it, and oh my God, I can't put it down. I couldn't put it down,
right?
Because for everyone that has an excuse about why you are not where you want to be, why you're not on the path, why you haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, she addresses like every single excuse. I mean, I was coming up with everything in my mind, like, well, I could do this, but. And I mean, it was everything was addressed. And it's like, okay, so now that all of my crap is out on the carpet, now what? Now am I out here? Okay, you've called me out on everything imaginable. Now what? Oh, I guess I have to be accountable. I have to actually do the work. And that is what I love. That is just absolutely what I love about this book, because you are a badass.
Yes, totally. And it resonated with me right from the get-go, because it starts off with Jen saying that she was 40 years old, living out of her parents' garage, broke as a joke. And she was like, well, if I don't figure it out now, then I'm never going to figure it out. And she was just like really stressing out. So she was like always against woo, 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 woo books. Yeah, right? Yeah, woo, 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 woo books, right? And like, you and I are woo, woo, but we're also pragmatic, right? It's like we dream, but then we also take action and make stuff happen. And that's why we live the lives, or figuring it out, living the lives that we live, and kind of trying to grow forward. But she said, well, just if nothing was working, so she was like, it seems like it's working for other people. So she got into these spirituality books and became a junkie. Yeah, Carl, you gotta get those books. They are amazing, life-changing. So then she was like, went to all these different like finance. She said her Achilles tendon, and that was my tendon too, and it still is my tendon, is finances. Because we grew up poor, and my parents always fought over money, and I was like, didn't want money to be in my life. I was like, I hate money, because money was always, you hear money's dirty in our culture and society.
Right.
Parents always fought over money. We grew up poor, so I was just like, I always felt like it was the root of evil. But then she was like, she learned to be friends with money, and just, she said, she wants you to write a letter. Just join what we're talking about. We're talking about these two books, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and this other book I'm reading, Tipping Point. But we're talking about You Are a Badass right now. So you are a badass. You too, Jennifer. So anyway, so my one of the reasons why I love this book so much is she was like, when I wrote the book, I realized that nobody wrote it in the voice that, with cuss words, because she cusses.
Yeah, that drew me right in. I was like, yes, spirit animal,
yeah,
my
right?
spirit animal.
And it was right, and it was, she's like the real deal when she was talking, when she talks about certain topics. She has a humor and a wit, and is just so real. And I think that's why it resonated with so many people. Did you know, though, that the book, she said that they tried to get that book published, and she over and over and over and over again, so many people, I forget the number, so I don't want to like be misquoted, but I want to say like a ton of publishers were like, you know what, that book has already been, like, who's going to pay attention to that? There's already books like that.
Right.
Which further plays into the imposter syndrome we were talking about earlier, because we were talking about earlier about how sometimes when we are asked to whether we're writing a book or we're asked to speak about something, that there's this syndrome like, why me? Like, we feel like an imposter, like um, don't deserve to be on stage or don't deserve to have,
or like
that
everything's already been done. But you have to think about, like my best friend told me years ago, he said, you're going out to buy a car. They don't just make one type of car. You know what I'm saying? There's different type of car manufacturers, and each of them have different line. There's always a car to fit your need. So you can't ever just, stop at that. You shouldn't let that limited thinking stop you. There's always a lane. Create your lane. Build your own damn highway.
Yeah, right. And some people may be like Oprah people. Some people may be Ellen people. Some people might like Deepak Chopra.
Right.
Some people might
and
like
some people
Coco
might
Pepsi,
like Cardi B, and some of us might like all of the above.
You want me to tell you how old I am? Cardi B. I was like, earlier somebody brought that name up, and I was like, who's that? I'm old.
Oh my God, no, you must get. I mean, she is so ratchet, but I live for her because she's so positive, and like a lot of the themes that we talk about, she absolutely applies in her life, which is why she is winning, and that's one of the things I love about her. But she's definitely. You might have to decipher.
Okay, I'll check her out. The things you learned from our little chats. Okay, so tell me, what were your favorite things about the book? You Are a Badass.
The favorite thing about it for me was that she called me on the carpet on every excuse, like I was saying earlier. I absolutely love that. But the way one of the things when she talks about, having the vision and writing things down, that was another thing, because that's a practice that I have found to be extremely effective. In fact, my vision board is just on the other side of that door right there, but you can't go in there today. But
okay, you gotta show me. Okay, so we're gonna do a live from can we do a live one day, a special one, not on a Wednesday, when I see you next month when I go to Atlanta?
Yeah,
we'll do it. I want to. Okay, we'll do it together. So that I love the writing down part. And you know what was funny was that I'll talk about my stuckness, and I'll be honest about it. It's just like, I turned 40 this year, and I met up with one of my lawyers for my nonprofit, the Go Inspire Go, and I was just kind of feeling like, I want to do more. I don't know what it is. I think it's in our culture. I think it's also a lot of things. Growing up like Asian American and not ever feeling like enough. Because every time I brought home my A-, my parents were like, where's that minus come from? You need an A, And so anyway, so I was just like, I don't know why, I was just kind of feeling down. And then my lawyer friend, Robert, he was like, Tuan, you've done more in your life, and you've helped way more people than people have done and helped in their 80s. And I was just like, had to reflect for a quick minute, because I was just like, you know what, he's right. And why do I always feel like I'm just never enough?
Right.
And so, when I was a kid, my story. I came here when we had $4 in our pockets, 10 of us to a trailer in a trailer park. And then I just told this lady at the boutique today, she owned her own boutique in San Diego. I was like, I achieved everything. She's like, what do you do for a living? What do you do here in the middle of the day shopping? And I was like, well, I've done everything I wanted to. I'm 40, but in my early 30s, I became a TV reporter in a big city, co-hosted a show on PBS, and I teach at the college level. And here's my insecurity coming in, and I was just like, well, I feel stuck, because I was like, I don't know what else to do next. And I don't want to go back to the corporate world, because that's just not how my brain works. I do not want to sit at a desk. And I know that in my heart, and I want to ask you this question too. It's like, in my heart of hearts, what's my reason for being? Why am I here on this earth? What am I here to do? And this has been a philosophical question with Kevin, who's one of my not only web guys, content guys, but a good friend of mine, soul brother. I've been kind of like, okay, people are like, oh, design, you're really good at design, maybe you should do design. And then I'm like, I love reading, writing, talking. And I was just like, I don't know, like, I'm like, have Go Inspire Go nonprofit, then I have my Truth Dare podcast, and then I have like all these things, and I'm like just feeling stuck. And one of my good friends, Richard Louie, he's an anchor at the NBC station he works in 30 Rock in New York. We had a Soul to Soul recently when I was in New York, and he was like, Tuan, write it down. He was like, write down here what it is that next thing you want to do, and then figure out, what other things will help you get there. So I'll be honest, with everything I'm doing right now is aligned with my heart's desire is to inspire everyone to realize, she uses badass, I use everybody has a special, unique truth. And in that truth, you have a power. And when you use that power, you activate it to live a better life. You not only help yourself, but then you start using it to help other people, and that's what joy is. And I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what is this top thing for me here? And I want to know what yours is. Mine right here is I would love to do some sort of like talk show, and not just like a regular kind of like a TV talk show, but maybe using social media and all that. But so that's here. And then I was like, literally wrote out when I was at the pool in my gratitude journal thing. I was like, okay, so then there's this that I could do, and this that I could do, and this that I could do, and this is how I could possibly get there. And that really helps kind of clarify. So if you're getting stuck, I think it's really nice to write it down, because then you start like manifesting it.
Exactly. And like
Did you
Jennifer
write anything
said,
down?
how specific are your goals?
Ooh, that's good, Jennifer. You know, that's what Jen says. Yes. And that's a podcast. She talks about that too in that one podcast that I'll post on the link here in a little bit when we're done talking. But that's exactly what she says. She's like, you have to be very specific with your goals. And so not only be specific about your goals, but be specific about who you are serving, like who is your audience. And I've preached it in my class. I created a Blogging Your Passion class, and I teach that at a university. So it's scary for me to say right now that it's like, my passions change, and that's okay. And I always ask the same question: how specific are your goals? Who's your audience? What makes you different and unique? So my goals are pretty specific. It's mainly to inspire people through entertaining them. And I think it's through a show that's like an amalgam of like it's like an amalgam of Oprah and Ellen show. It's just like a fun show where we laugh, we have fun, but we dig deep and we cry together, and we just like, it's like a little like what you and I are doing now. Like I would love to do that, so that's how specific my goals are. And then targeting your audience, she talks about in the podcast that Jen was being interviewed on as well. So there's a lot of yummy stuff in that book and this podcast, but we'll put up a link later. Okay, so tell me what your goal. What's your thing?
My thing, because I don't know, for all of my life, it just seemed like I was always having fun, and I've always pursued fun, and I never thought that was like a passion or
yes, I love that.
And it wasn't until like maybe last year where I was actually able to language my purpose, and it really is that I promote life. And to that, by that, I mean promoting it and living it fully, living it wholeheartedly, no matter where you are, no matter what your circumstance. Because a lot of people look at they look at my life, and I'm like, okay, well, I want you to be excited about it. I want you to be happy for me, but I want you to also understand that, like I say, I don't have a patent on joy. I don't own this process. All of this stuff works. You can have the same thing for you on your stage, wherever that is. And that's really what it's been. And I love Jennifer's question about how specific are you with your goals. And I'm starting to be more detailed and more specific, because I found them in the past. Sometimes I didn't want to necessarily be too specific, because the universe might actually give me what I wanted. But is what I want really what I want, or is it what I think I want? Yeah. So you have to,
or what people tell you what you think you want.
Exactly. How are you being defined, internally or externally? What I have learned in the process, though, is when I speak the answer, surrender to the process, get out of the way, just let it unfold. Yeah. And then for me, it's not so much like, how do I get from A to B? It's just like, what's the next right move? Okay. And then when I get there, what's the next right move? Like you were saying about doing the incremental steps. Yeah. You don't focus on the big picture. Claim the big picture, speak the answer, but then just put one foot in front of the other, And that's what I've learned that's really actually been effective. And life is good. Now I have days when it's, it's challenging, but I've learned to absorb those days and get still and listen. Like, what are you trying to teach me today, Miss Universe? Because girl, you are trying it right now.
No, for real though, some days I'm just like, okay, I'm doing everything right. Am I doing everything right? Is anybody listening? And then it's just like, then somebody will write me and they'll be like, you know what? I came out to my parents about how I wanted to quit my finance job. I'm making all this money in my 20s, bought a place in San Francisco, and I really love to cook. And it's just like, my parents are Asian like yours, and they like want me to be doctor, lawyer, engineer. And it's just like, he's just like, he came out to them and told them about it. And he also heard sometimes though, it surprises me, because I feel like even when we're talking now, it's just like not really coming from here. It's just coming through us, right? Because people will bring up stuff like this kid that was listening in his 20s was like, to my Truth Dare podcast, he was just like, you know, I remember that you said that, but leap with, you know, leap with an intention and leap with a strategy. Don't just like quit your job and that's it. So he told his parents that he was like, I want to cook. If I could cook every single day of my life, like I would give everything up. I would give up my condo here in San Francisco. And so he said that he has a strategy, an exit strategy, and to get out of his finance stuff and to have enough so that he can sustain. And but slowly, what he's doing is going to culinary school in San Francisco. You know. So anyway, long story short, hey Nicole. Yeah, Nicole Carter says, he said 40 years old. Please, he young. Who, me?
You are young.
You know what they say?
Asian
they
don't
say
raisin.
Black don't crack. Asian don't raisin, baby. I know, right? When Lionel, you told me your age, I was like, what?
Yeah, I see all these grays coming in finally.
Oh, I know. You know what? I have some too, but it's all good. It's all.
I embrace them. There's lots of good living in these grays, baby. Lots of good living.
Right? I know. So my favorite takeaway. There's so many. Can I say 3?
Yes.
So my favorite takeaway is, I agree with you that writing it down, because when you write stuff down, it becomes real and it manifests, I feel like, right? So the writing, I'm tangible, so I need to see it. Even if you don't see the money come in, but you write down what you want to do, it's real and it's there. So that's one thing. The second thing is she was like, take action, which means you stop making excuses. The podcast that the woman that was interviewing, Cathy, that was interviewing this Jen Sincero woman, the author, she had asked, it was great because she kept playing devil's advocate. She goes, okay, so what about the single mom that's watching, says she doesn't have time, she doesn't have energy, blah, blah, blah. And then Jen was like, well, and this is funny because this is the third time I heard this in the podcast, but I heard it twice with people I was talking to this week. She was like, well, then they're right. They can't do it because they haven't decided to do it yet. If you're telling yourself that, oh, you know what, I will never make money. Like I had a friend tell me this week, she was like, I will never make money doing what I'm doing. I'll never make as much as I make in my former corporate job. And then I was like, you're right, you never will.
No, that's your affirmation. I will never make money. Okay, well, don't be mad when you're broke. Girl,
okay. That's what you asked.
You've asked for this repeatedly. This is my affirmation. I will never make money. Okay, well, the universe is like, okay, girl, how's them hunger pains doing, girl? No, you know, it's like, but people don't think like that because we're so conditioned to like absorb the negative.
Exactly.
But you have to watch this tongue. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes, absolutely, yes. So, and then the third thing I love is your tribe, honey, your tribe, and she talks about how. You need to hang around with people that lift and gift and shift you. She didn't say those words. Those are words that, you know, came out of my mouth, and mouth of one of my mentors. But it's like when I hang out with you, I just feel like, I mean, this is such a gift for us to be able to connect like this. And technology allows us to do this. We ain't in a hospital bed right now, or, you know, like we didn't lose our voice.
Even if we were, we'd still be lifting one another up, right?
Basically, you know what? Yeah, right. So anyway, so those were the takeaways, and I just love that book. If you could read one book this year, I would. Well, I can't say that.
You just saw the books that are on my desk here, right? Bye, Joan. Thanks for tuning in, Australia. No,
thank you.
Yeah, so I don't. But yeah, what's one more going to be? You know, one more on this huge stack.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Oh.
So yeah, okay. So that's one of my favorites. But anyway, so Tipping Point, I'm still rereading now. I only read half of it last time, and I just stopped, and it just didn't resonate with me. But now I started, and I'm at a point where I feel like in my 40s, there's something big that's happening just right around the bend. So that's why it just resonated with me. I love what you said a moment ago about how the books, you're glad you picked this one up now because child, I would never be ready for this book 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right? And that was like that with Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. You've read that, right?
Yeah. At first I was like, okay, could somebody just paint the wall and let me watch it dry? Because this right here was
keep on home.
Yeah, that's definitely a book you have to be ready. Your whole mind, your heart space, all that has to be open up. Because when it is open, the book will truly resonate. But if you're not in that space, child, that's gonna be one torture chamber.
So okay, I found that book in early 2000s, so that's like 18 years ago, and I remember when I was reading it, the first chapter, and this is just tells you kind of how my mentality, how crazy I am, and how much I like a challenge, or for you to tell me that you can't do it, and if you tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it, you know. And so it's the first preface. I don't even know if it's first chapter, but he said, Eckhart says, you may not be ready for this, and if it doesn't make sense, put it down, and one day you'll be ready for it. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm highlighting things, I'm earmarking things, you know. And then so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. I read half of it, and when I went to New York, a friend was like in a really dark place. I just gave it to her. I was like, okay, whatever. Fast forward several years later, I was at a thrift store, and I was perusing the book section because I love me a discount. Asian in me. The book was sticking out. It was like $1.
Okay.
$1. And it was sticking out. The spine was sticking out. The rest of the books were pushed back. Right. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I mean, if this isn't, you know, you always say there are no such things as coincidences. But if this wasn't a message, then I don't know what is. Yeah. So I read it, and I was just like, oh, my God. So anyway, that book is thebomb.com. But if you can't get into that book yet, I think the Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's second book is really great.
That's much easier to digest.
It's easier to understand. Yeah, it's kind of like training wheels.
Yes, yeah, I would definitely highly recommend the Power of Now. That's so cool. Yeah. You know, I don't know if I shared with you. I had an experience recently on a plane. Did I tell you about the lady that I was sitting next to? Oh my. Okay, so what I've learned is sometimes I fly so much, and sometimes when I get on the plane, I just go right into my zone. I just because I don't want to absorb anyone else's energy. Sometimes I might use that space to meditate. I might use that space to read. I don't necessarily want to get caught up in a conversation about something that'll probably end up pissing me off.
Just put on my earbuds.
So a couple weeks ago, actually when I was going to Dallas to go to the Benefit for Minnie's Food Pantry, I got on the flight, and I was fortunate enough to be sitting in first class, and there was a lady that came and sat down next to me, and a Caucasian lady, probably middle-aged, and of course I just sized her up like, girl, oh, is it gonna be one of them days? I'm certainly not feeling this, right? Because her whole energy, when she just got on, her husband was sitting in the back and coach, and she was sitting in first class, and then she just was all antsy and fidgety, and just her whole vibe was just rude. And so she put her bag in the overhead bin. And mind you, I had on my little militant, we built this joint for free, talking about the United States of America, sweatshirt up here. I had the same thing on. So she puts her bag in the overhead thing, and then another little a few minutes later, Asian woman. Now this lady, I'm sorry, the first lady had the Caucasian lady had a small, like a large purse bag. It wasn't a roller bag, and so the bins were filling up. And so an Asian lady who was sitting in the row, also the last row of first class behind us, came, and she had a roller bag. So she asked if she could move the lady's thing. And then the lady said no, she didn't want it moved or whatever. And then she was saying, well, this is a big bag. Can you put it under, under the seat or something? Because yours will fit under the seat. And so they were going back and forth. And then so I told her, I said, ma'am, there's plenty of room down here, And she said, she turned to me, she said, the last flight I was on, the person I was sitting next to did have an issue with that. And I said, well, this is today, and we've got plenty of room, and everything's going to be okay. You can have all that room. And then she just like took a breath. And then she realized, she was so like antsy about it. And then I was like, girl, just pull out of all that chaos that you're in.
Yeah.
And then when she saw that somebody was just trying to like be okay with her and just offer her some warmth, her whole disposition changed. You could see her whole disposition change. And then we ended up talking on the flight for like 2 hours. And I mean, she taught me a lot in that conversation, and I ended up teaching her a lot in that conversation. And it was so interesting how you can really be on opposite ends of the world, politically, spiritually, socially, sexually, everything. You can be just so, but how we could find some commonality. And I was like, oh my God, this is what people in this country need to do. Just absolutely just offer some empathy and just not come to the table with a judgment. And it was absolutely, and we finally, I mean, literally, we talked for about 2 hours, and she was trying to finish a movie on her device, and I was trying to finish a book that I was reading. This book, actually, I was finishing up You Are a Badass. And I just thought, wow, but this whole interaction was worth it. One, it totally changed her energy, because she was just going from negative experience to negative experience. And it totally changed my energy, because I learned a lot from her. She just told me so much about her background, and I was explaining about mine, and it was just we had different experiences, yet a lot was similar.
Okay, that conversation must have been hella good, Lonell, because my phone never had this happen to me before. It said, emergency, your phone is too hot. It must cool down. Okay, it must cool down before you continue talking. What? Okay, Lonell, let's see. Lonell, okay. Anyway, I'm continuing my conversation with Lonell Williams, my soul brother. And every Wednesday we decide to just chat and check in on what's going on and how we're living life. And let's see, here, you watching now, Lonell. Lonell, let me see if I can bring you on this. Tap on any viewer to invite them on your... Okay, Lonell is not inviting you on. You can't join at this time. What? Okay, wants to be in your video. So this is part 2 of the conversation. Adding you. Part 2 of the conversation. That was funny. I've never had that happen to you, ever. Our conversation was hot because you know what happened? My phone literally paused and it said, emergency, your phone overheated. Your phone must cool down.
Yeah, the devil is a liar.
The phone must cool down before you can continue this conversation. So I had to shut it off and it was hot. Like I touched it and the phone was hot. You ever had that happen to you?
I have had that happen with my phone, and yet it will shut itself off. It will absolutely shut itself off.
Okay. Anyway, so you're telling me, sorry about that. So you're telling me about how you're on the plane and there's this woman. You guys learned a lot about each other after her energy was a little bit stinky. Why was it stinky?
Right. I don't know because whatever experiences she had the last time she was on the plane and someone was rude to her, she'd probably been carrying that on. That probably could have happened to her 20 years ago, and she was still carrying that.
20 years ago.
She was carrying that bad energy into every experience that she was having. Yeah. So I was like, no, and so it just totally disarmed her, but it did take her off by surprise, and it took her out. She was caught off guard by the fact that I was just being kind to her. It's like, no, there's plenty of room under this seat. So like I said, we ended up having a great conversation, but it taught me to not always get on the plane or in any space, just acknowledge someone else that's in the room. Because sometimes people won't even say hello to you.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm like, well, fine, I don't want to say hello to you. I'm all right. You probably judging me because I'm sitting up here the way I'm judging you. What? So
I don't want to talk to you anyway.
I just realized, I said, no, I need to go back to being able to, because you never know what kind of information, what kind of pearls of wisdom they might have for you. And she and I both had something for each other that day because we chose to be kind. We just chose a different experience that day. And so that just taught me to always be mindful in that space. Because there's so much acrimony in our collective discourse these days where you don't want to talk to anybody. And I just realized, no, we're better than that. We're much, much better than that.
Yeah, I love that you just said that because I know that we are here in life to experience life, and the biggest gift you can give someone is the experience of you. And sometimes it's good, bad, but it also teaches you something. And to that note, I remember when I was a kid. Okay, back up. I graduated from college. I was at my first job, freezing my tail off in Wausau, Wisconsin. Quit my job because my dad had stomach cancer, my aunt had breast cancer, and so I was home helping my aunt in the car with her, taking her to get her chemo. And she was driving, and she drove hella slow. So already, she drove hella slow. So she just happened to drive slower today because she was feeling extra tired, and literally she was basically dying. Like there was, she was like late stage breast cancer. And so many people were so mean, like they would honk and call her the B word and sip the bird. And I just wanted to reach out of my car, I was like enraged. But one thing I realized from that is that I was like, what if I flip the script? And what that lesson taught me was that I was like, wow, for the next person that cuts me off or drives slow, why can't I just go around them? Or why can't I just bless them with love and say, you know what, I don't know what happened in your life. That's okay. I know it has nothing to do with me. You being snatchy today, nothing to do with me. And just if you send them love, or if you just even get to know them a little bit, or just if you even ever were to find out what was going on in their lives, maybe you would think differently. So I try to think of it that way now, and try to apply that in my life. When people, like, there was a lady that driving in San Francisco, uncontrolled intersection. I got there first. I was supposed to go, and this lady, she was like red face, honking, screaming at me, cussing me out, and I was just like, go, even though it was my turn to go. And I was just kind of sending her love because I was like, I have no idea what happened to her. Like, she just could have found out that her girlfriend was cheating on her, or whatever the heck, or she just could have gotten a diagnosis of something, a health problem. So I was just like, sending you love. It's all good, whatever. And then I
because it's not
react.
about you personally.
Yeah,
and I think that's what we forget, that when people are acting out like that, it's not necessarily about me personally that they're mad about. It might be, but chances are it's probably not.
But you're right. But at the same time, we're human beings. So when somebody's acting like stinky energy, our first reaction is to be like, So it's about realizing that and checking ourselves and just being mindful and aware. Like, just before this call, when I told you I was texting, I was like, really hate being late. I'm sorry. I'm on my way. Once I get checked in, the airport security, I'll get to you. You're like, it's totally fine. Whatever. Like, let me know, and before, when I we didn't travel a lot because we were poor when we were kids, but as I started traveling, I remember really getting antsy and nervous the night before, not even being able to sleep. And so now I don't even trip, like, at all, because I am present. And I was like, I can't worry about tomorrow because tomorrow didn't come yet, about the delays or whatever. So I'm just going to focus on today. I'm going to enjoy my dinner with my peeps, or by myself. And then, I will just, be in my body as I get to the airport, and whatever happens, happens. You can react to it two ways. Like, today my flight was delayed. I'm like, sweet, I get extra time with Lionel. Or it could be like, or I could go read a book. Or I could just be super pissed for no reason, and I can't control it. So why would I be pissed? Bad for your health.
I had a similar experience with that yesterday or the day before. Maybe it was the day before. I don't know.
What happened?
This also happened in the airport. Yeah. I was leaving from St. Louis. My flight was late up to Chicago to catch a connecting flight. And then I was, I tweeted United. I was like, this is just one of those, because I always tweet my travel experiences, whether they're good or bad. It's not necessary. And I wasn't like harping. I was just saying, this is one of those travel days where, my flight took off late. So now I'm not going to make my connection, yada, yada, yada. And so I tweeted the airline, and they got in contact with the manager or the service director, whatever they call them. And literally they were in contact with me like, this is where you need to go when you land. We see that the flight just blocked, I think that's what they said, into the gate. They just arrived at the gate. And I literally I had to walk from one end of not walk, but practically sprint from one end of the terminal to the other. But I was actually able to make it there. And then they had my bag tag ready because the overhead bins were already full because the plane was already loaded up. And she had my stuff printed out for me. It was just, that was just like, because I had surrendered that. I was like, well, if I just missed the flight, I'm just going to sit here and do something for the next couple of hours. So the next
surrender.
And when I let that all go and just tried to make it down there, it worked out.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Because you know what? It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to anything that happens to you. Because another thing I think too is it's just like, oh, I got delayed, woe is me. But you know what? Like, why not you? Like, you have the audacity to think that you're not going to get in an accident or you're not going to be late on a plane. Like, please, the world does not revolve around you or me. You know what I mean? But, the thing is, too, I think from a health standpoint, like scientifically, if you rewire the way you think, your emotions and all that, and how you react to things, then guess what? You're going to have lower blood pressure. You're not going to be as stressed. You're not going to, have your stomach in a knot. So, hold up, let's see. I got like 10 more minutes. I'm always trying to listen to when I'm at the airport.
Yes, please don't miss your flight, because we don't.
I know, right? Because I was stupid. Because I was like, well, it would be worth it, whatever. So speaking of health, I've gotten back into like trying to get back onto my health regimen with, diet, exercise, etc. And today, hello. Yeah. Tell me about what you did today.
It's so funny because my friend Carl, who was in here, he saw my Instagram story, and I had like this facial expression.
I saw that, yeah.
And but he thought it was a massage place at first because he didn't read the thing on the picture. But I did colon hydrotherapy. So I don't know if any of you have ever had a colonic before. But it's an interesting process. But I
Do
always
tell.
feel, cleansed and better and stuff after them.
Was
So
this your
yes,
first
that's
time?
what I actually went and did
First time?
today. Not your normal.
Was it your first time?
No. I hadn't been in a while though. I hadn't had one in a while.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, no, I need to get back in the habit of doing these because I know when I used to do them, they were very effective for me.
Okay.
So just
How
that's
often?
why I want to get back to doing them. So
How
I actually went back today, and I'll get back on a regular pattern of doing them again.
What's a regular pattern? Like, how often do you do it?
It just depends on what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to cleanse, or you're trying to do like a whole like really cleansing. Some people are trying to lose belly fat. Some people are trying to eliminate toxins. So it's just there's a different program that'll be prescribed for whatever your particular needs are. So it differs from person to person. But it could go probably from monthly to weekly, or to a couple times a week for a month or something like that. It just depends on your current health status and then what you're trying to achieve with it.
Does it hurt?
No.
No. Okay.
It's not necessarily comfortable at first because you got to got to adjust and get the thing in there, and then you're like, oh, okay, and then
is there anesthesia? Maybe.
And then it's like okay, and then after that, once the water starts flowing, it's like okay, it gets uncomfortable. Then you release, and you're like okay, but no, it's not.
Okay, I gotta.
It's
try
just
it.
weird because if you're not used to that, then it's weird. But at first, it's not painful now.
Okay, I've been wanting to try it, so I'll have to try it. But I heard it's good for you.
Yeah, I feel effects and see effects from it afterwards. When I used to do them regularly, definitely. But I just stopped doing it for a while, and I was like, no, I need to get back on that again. So that's what I did today. Mind, body, spirit, trying to take care of the body today.
Yeah. Well, if you could do it, I could do it. Okay, I'm gonna try it because I've been wanting to do it for like the last few years.
You get a colonic. Everybody gets a colonic.
You gotta pay for this? I just eat extra fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, see, you can do that too, but and that helps. Well, actually, after you have one, they specifically recommend certain things you do not eat right after.
Okay.
And then they always give you something to replace some of the electrolytes that you've lost during the process immediately after.
Okay, I gotta try that.
Jennifer says, do you change your diet with the colonic? Probably if you want to have optimum results, you probably should change your diet with the colonic. I know I'm trying to do better.
More veggies and fruits, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Less fried food, less processed
in general,
food.
Here's the secret for me. It's like, not that there's a secret, but for the way my body works is that I'm Asian. I love me some noodles and rice, okay? You take away pho, ain't gonna happen, That's the beginning of the end of a diet for me. But I was like, not like I'm gonna eat it, like not even 2-3 times a week like I sometimes used to do. And it's okay if I still do once in a while, but I try to eat clean as much as possible, especially when I'm by myself, because the food is to me an experience I like to enjoy with people, But for the most part, I try to eat lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, stuff that doesn't have as much preservatives most of the time. And then like when I have friends over, I'm traveling, or friends in town, or we're going out to dinner, or on weekends, I let myself kind of enjoy what I want to enjoy. But it's all about, I think, moderation and modification. Like, so when I eat a burger too, I usually take off the top bun and instead of the top bun, I'll use lettuce. Instead of eating 5 pieces of pizza, I'll eat 2, or 3.
I'm still working on that.
I know, it's hard. It's hard.
I'm definitely still working on that. I was like, okay,
know, right?
yeah.
So
because for me, with the intense travel
hard.
schedule that I have, it's hard. It's hard. But what I do find is that in a lot of countries, the food quality is not as processed, and it's a lot better than it is.
So true.
When I'm in the United States.
Yeah. People, my friends, my Iranian friends, my friends from Sydney, like other countries, it's like they said they eat a lot of rice, and they eat. When I was in Paris, I was eating a baguette. Like half a baguette sometimes a day, or a baguette a day. Not that well. I ate a lot of bread and a lot of pastries, and I was fine. I actually lost weight when I came back, but it's just because the food isn't as processed there. And the yolks on the eggs, they are really golden, and they taste like eggs. Tomatoes taste like tomatoes, and sweet. here tomatoes taste like water.
Yeah.
That's
And I
my
noticed, like, when I went to Argentina, Argentina is the one place where I really will eat red meat. Where I don't really eat a lot of red meat, but I will eat the beef in Argentina because it tastes so. The whole texture and taste of it is so like different. It's just yeah. I could tell the difference then when I eat stuff in the States, definitely.
Yeah.
But it is a challenge to eat clean here, and you know, because everything's so processed. Because stuff here is designed to sit on the shelf as long as it can before they can sell it. It's just designed to
imagine
sell.
what it does to your innards. So, you know, if you are blessed enough, like us, to live in big cities, like San Francisco, I go to the farmer's market, you know, on weekends, and I get as much as I can for the week. So I do that, and I notice that, you know, getting it fresh from the farmers that I talk to and that I trust, like the local organic, as much as possible. I mean, that's very helpful. But I know that not everybody could do that. So, yeah, you know, you just have to kind of modify.
Yeah, but a lot of people, even if you're not in the big city, especially, you probably know how to actually grow your own food.
Oh, that's true, because they have more space. True that.
Yeah, they have the space, and sometimes they have the skill set more so to do that. To me, gardening is going to the produce section, Whole Foods. Now, to somebody who lives in, you know, in the Midwest, maybe, or not in an urban area, I should say, we probably know how to actually grow and cultivate that, and then they have a whole different relationship with their food because they've nurtured it from seeds to, you know, nutrition. Whatever, when it's fully available to eat as a meal. So they have a relationship with the food that they grow. And a lot of us don't, you know, we don't, we just consume. That was good, give me some more. And we're so consumed with the way that things taste, it doesn't necessarily, you know, we don't so what if it has, you know, injected hormones or whatever in it? We don't really care. Fruitation. So yes. So yeah, we definitely need to be more mindful of that. I mean, I think people are waking. There is truly an awakening going on in America.
Yes.
Because, you know, and there are the effort to keep those voices suppressed. Because one, you're dealing when you have like the 1% that have had all the power from the inception of this country. Now that's being threatened and challenged by these different groups who are gaining levels of prosperity. You're doing everything you can to maintain that. So that's why I think there appears to be on the surface so much chaos, like in our political discourse and the civil discourse. But underneath that all, there's really just an awakening, and people are really just coming into their own.
Yeah.
And at the end, I always believe the light is going to triumph the darkness. So I think we're on that path. So that's why you're starting to learn more about or see more visibility with holistic treatments, people being mindful of their health and what's really going on and what's really being put into our foods. People are really just people are just waking up. They're not just kind of, you know, being numbed just by constantly just chasing money and being so consumed on that little wheel, just run like the hamster wheel, that they are actually starting to pay attention, because that is not working for people. And they realize I'm not being fulfilled.
And you know, I love that. I love that you said mindful eating, but aside from being mindful when you eat, I also believe that you need to be mindful after you eat and pay attention to how you feel. Because when you eat a lot of sugar, for example, you get really sleepy really quick. You know, you do this sugar crash. Or when I eat a lot of carbs or a lot of processed stuff, right away my stomach feels like tight and nasty. And I was just talking to somebody about my pretty poo. I love it when I have pretty poo. Like the next day when it looks like a banana. TMI. But every time I eat clean, like stuff that hasn't been processed, fruits and veggies, like my body feels better. It's not like clumpy and like little pebbles. Oops, sorry, but you know what I mean. It's like
it does feel better. Your body, you do need to listen to your body, and I always feel better when I eat better foods. So I do love my carbs.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And I've got to find some balance.
Yeah,
I love my carbs.
Yeah.
I should have asked Venus. She was in here watching. This woman, her body is like so incredible, and she is like the fitness guru, and she's got a testimony, because like years ago she used to be like really overweight. She posted throwback pictures when she was overweight and how she transformed her body.
Wow.
I need to ask her more about her dieting.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I love it when the seed is literally planted like in your head. You're like, okay, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being tired. You know what I mean? And then you activate, you know, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna move my body more. I'm going to eat less processed foods, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like you see a change. And that's really like, I think that's what being mindful really is. And I think that you can tell too, energy wise, people that, for me, practice spirituality and being mindful. It's like the energy and the way they look is just much more like chill, you know, and way less like stressed face or RBF, you know. It's pretty amazing.
And don't beat yourself up if you start out being being consistent, because I'm
okay.
guilty of that too. It's like, okay, I'm going to work out this week. I work out 3 days, I'm good. I take 1 day off and it turns into 6 months. It's like, no, you have to, But if you miss that day, then just go back and start again the next day. It's the same with like learning how to meditate or anything. You just have to make it a habit, and that just takes practice. And you can't just beat yourself up and quit after the first failure. That's not, honestly, that's not how any of this works.
When I meditate, okay, so we just both finished the Oprah and Deepak's 21-day meditation, and honestly, like several of the days, I when the meditation was done, I was like, huh? And then I wasn't paying attention really, and I was just like, wait. And then I would have to go back and listen to it when later, or sometimes I would just listen, and then that 20 or 30-second spark or aha, like, was a lesson learned or was a really important message I needed to get from that stillness. But obviously, I think we're hard on ourselves, or I think the expectation, or when you see it on Instagram, it's like, oh wow, people meditate. This billionaire meditates for 2 hours a day. And I'm like, I'm hoping to get back.
I'm not there yet.
I know, me neither. I don't think I ever will. But the thing is, just being kind to yourself and gentle is really important, because you're gonna fall off the wagon. When I was here, I mean, I just had me some carne asadas, fries as part of my dinner.
So good.
It was really good with guacamole and cheese and sour cream. But you know what though? Tomorrow I'll eat.
I had a salad after my colonic.
That's why you're radiating today.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways, talking about being mindful, I'll just to get going because my plane, I don't want to miss it.
Okay. Well, have a good flight. Next week, I will be out of the country, so I'll just have to stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Can you tell us where you're going? Filling out my paperwork here.
Can you tell us where you're going yet, or no?
I can.
Surprise. Okay, surprise.
It's just I'll just say this: it's far away from Atlanta.
Okay. Awesome. Well, okay. Well, have safe travels.
All righty.
We can talk offline and catch up a little bit more. But thanks everybody for listening, and please let us know what you think about the books that we talked about, and if there are any other topics.
Yeah, and I'll send that to you, Jennifer. I'll send you the second book title. And good night, Carl.
DM us if you want us to talk about something like colonics or poop. See you later. Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
I'll talk to you
All right,
later.
brother. See ya.